Once you've set up your worksheet so that you have the right page size, your headers and footers, and all the other pre-printing activities, let's go and see what happens when we actually print. Well, you can go up to the File tab for Backstage View, go down here to Print, or you could press Control-P, either way, and here we have our print preview. And we have it centered on the page horizontally and vertically. We have our headers here, our footers here. Looks pretty nice. So let's take a look at some of our print settings. First of all, if you just want to print and all of the settings that are already in there are okay, all you have to do is click the print button. And how many copies do you want? You can choose your printer from right over here, and you click this, and all of the printers that are configured in your computer are here. And I'm just going to click off it and keep the current printer. If you want to get to printer-specific properties, you could click this link. What's really nice about this screen is that you don't have to go spelunking through multiple levels of printer dialog boxes, like many applications do, or even older versions of Excel. Everything you need is right here. So, which sheets do you want to print? You could click this. You could print the active sheet, that is whatever sheet you have currently selected, or the whole workbook, or maybe if you have just a few cells selected in a worksheet, you could print just those cells. Click off here. And if you want a specific page range, maybe you have a very large worksheet of several dozen pages and you wanted to print maybe only page 5 to 10, you could do that here. And when you do that, if you're printing out here multiple copies, here you could choose whether they're collated or not. Now here's a really great feature. You might wonder, well, what's the big deal? Landscape or portrait oriented? Well, many programs and older versions of Excel, it would be very easy to set up, let's say, landscape orientation in the document. You go into the print dialog box and you choose portrait oriented, and then half the page is cut off, or vice versa. Well, in Excel 2010, the orientation in the print dialog box and in the page layout are synchronized. So let's say we go over here and we make it portrait oriented. See, it changes here. Now click the page layout tab and click orientation, and look at that. It's now portrait. And vice versa. If we change this from portrait back to landscape, and I'll just press Control-P to go back in, you see it's back to landscape. So I think that's a really great feature. Same for page size. You can choose different page sizes if you want. I'm going to keep it at letter. And if you want to change what your margins are, or if you want to change custom margins, you can click that over here. Now, scaling means, let's say your worksheet is just a little too big for one page and you want to shrink it to 100% so it fits on the page. Or maybe it's really tiny and you want it bigger to take up the page. Well, that's what you could do here for scaling, and you have the options here. Keep in mind, if you scale the page, making it bigger or smaller, you are not changing the fonts, you are not changing the column widths or the row height. It's simply the image that comes out of the printer that you're changing. Kind of like if you use a rescaling feature on a photocopier. I'm going to leave this here as no scaling. Now, if you like kind of an old-fashioned page setup dialog box, the way Excel did it in previous versions, you have this page setup link, and you can click that, and that's going to bring you into page setup. I'm just going to click cancel. We don't really need that. Well, let's say we want to go and create an Adobe PDF, so this will be readable in Adobe Reader. Well, that's the default printer on this machine. So all you have to do is click print. But that means Adobe Acrobat is installed. What if your computer doesn't have Adobe Acrobat installed? You can still create a PDF. You don't need Adobe Acrobat. Click over here, save and send. We can choose to create a PDF or XPS document. XPS is kind of the Microsoft way of creating a format kind of like PDF, but don't worry about that too much. So just choose that and then click this button here. And by default, it'll offer to create a PDF. And I'm just going to leave this here in the Chapter 6 folder. Now, if you want some options specific for how to create the PDF, you can click Options, and you have all your options up here. I'm just going to leave the defaults and click Cancel. And over here where it says Open File After Publishing, you probably want to leave that selected, just so you can view it in Adobe Reader to make sure you got what you're hoping to get, and then click Publish. And here we have this open in Adobe Acrobat or Adobe Reader, depending upon what you have on your computer. And this is exactly what we saw in Print Preview. I think this is a really great feature. Go check it out.